Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Umagyanathimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीन बंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय जयतां सुरतौर्पंगो मम मंद मतेर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्भोजौ राधा मदन मोहनौ दिव्याद्वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमदौ श्रीमद्रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थौ श्रीमद्राधा श्रील गोविंद देवो प्रेष्ठालिविसेव्यमानौ स्मरामि श्रीमन् रासरसारंबी वंशी वटतटस्थितः कर्षन् वेणुस्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथस्त्रियस्तु नः नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृद्ध हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे गुरवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय हरे कृष्णा थैंक यू डियर devotees for very kindly joining on a materially motivated day especially in India. The cricket World Cup fever is going on. Pretty sure many would be hooked on to it. Of course, in America, most devotee homes don't have a TV voluntarily. So most devotee houses you go, there is no TV. And even if TV is there, it is used for projecting devotional classes when speakers come. So you wouldn't find any devotion families here watching cricket because the cable network is different, right? So devotees here are at least in that department of not watching sports, they're pretty sincere. They do not. I'm remembering in the 2011 April time when again India won the World Cup. So it was India Pakistan match, one of the semi-finals, and it was a Saturday or a Sunday. And Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj was scheduled to give class at Radha Gopinath Mandir, Mumbai. And Maharaj came for the class, and hardly there were a few people in the audience. And you know why? It's a World Cup semi-final, India Pakistan. So there were hardly a few people in the audience. So Radhanath Maharaj looked around and said, "Where is the audience? Why is it that no one came? Was it not published?" They said, "No, no, Maharaj, we published." So why did no one come? They said, "Maharaj, Cricket World Cup is going on. It's semi-final. India Pakistan." And Maharaj, they say it is Sachin Tendulkar's last World Cup. So everyone is hooked on and they're glued to the TV, crying out and chanting Sachin, Sachin. So Maharaj, I think that's why not many people are there. And Maharaj, when he heard that, Maharaj smiled and said, "Let them keep cheering Sachin, Sachin, Sachin. But I, for the rest of eternity, will cheer Sachin Nandan, Sachin Nandan, Sachin Nandan." I will, for eternity, I will keep chanting Sachin Nandan Gauranga Mahaprabhu. The devotees have this ability connect any instance to the Supreme Lord. So that is what we have to also keep cheering, not Sachin or Virat Kohli or whatever. We have to keep cheering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and their associates. Because these things will come and go. They are like Shita Ushna Sukha Dukkha. They are like summer, winter, rain. They keep coming and going like this. These sports will be coming and going. One team will be in the final, another event, India will be knocked out. Another event, some other favorite player will be knocked out. In between all this, there may be something else that may be coming up. So Maya will keep throwing these javelins at us to distract our attention. And if we are distracted, she is happy. She is fulfilled. So our job should be to defeat her distractions by hearing about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. मनुष्य जन्म पाइया राधा कृष्ण न भजिया जानिया शुनिया पिशा खाइनो. Our Acharya say after getting human life, if someone is not worshipping Radha Krishna, one is not worshipping Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not hearing about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, janiya shuniya pisha khaino. Knowingly, unknowingly, they are eating or drinking poison. They do not say Manusha Janma Paiya, Cricket World Cup na bhajiya, or Football Soccer World Cup na bhajiya. They don't say that because those things are immaterial in the eyes of the Acharyas. So, thank you to all the devotees who are here to encourage me speak about Chaitanya Charitamrita and help Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this Jagannath Puri festival. Thank you. Thank you for prioritizing Hari Katha over anything else. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो. So we were talking about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and yesterday we primarily just spoke a couple of lines. We spoke about Nam Sankirtan, how Mahaprabhu was doing Nam Sankirtan, and just in 4 lines we ended up speaking the whole class. So hopefully, if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desires, we can try to speak something more today. In the evening, the Lord observed Arati and went to a place called as Aitota and rested. For 9 days, 9 chief devotees headed by Advaita Acharya invited the Lord to their homes for meals. Lord Chaitanya would go to see Jagannath daily and perform Sankirtan in the morning, noon, and evening with his devotees 3 times a day. Dhyayam Vamstasya, yes, yes, Sandhyam, 3 times. When we sing the Samsara Dava, it says ideally they should be sung 3 times. Dhyayam Vamstasya, yes, yes, Sandhyam. So here Mahaprabhu is glorifying the Supreme Lord Jagannath through Nam Sankirtan thrice, 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening. We see that's how Prabhupada disciples would do. Back in the days, they would have hours and hours of straight kirtan. Sripad Aindra Prabhu. We are talking about Nam Sankirtan. How can we keep Aindra Prabhu to the side? Sripad Aindra Prabhu would do 14 to 16 hours of Nam Sankirtan every single day. It requires a lot of spiritual maturity to do it. 16 hours, that's a lot. How many of us can even do 1 hour of Sankirtan if no one is there? And if you're given a mridanga in our hand or kartal in our hand, how many can even do 1 hour Kirtan? Hardly. How many can even do 30 minutes of Kirtan straight? Hardly. Why? Because there is no taste. And primarily, our means of Nam Sankirtan, more than taste, is we are dependent on how many are there in the audience. आज कितने जन आए हैं मेरे कीर्तन सुनने के लिए? यदि कोई आए नहीं है, अरे प्रभु जी आज कैसे कीर्तन करेंगे, आज तो कोई आया ही नहीं. आज मेरा फोटो कौन लेगा प्रभु जी? आज यूट्यूब लाइव नहीं होगा. आज इंस्टाग्राम में रील कैसे बनेगा प्रभु जी? हम कीर्तन नहीं करेंगे. जब सब आ जाएंगे उसके बाद हम कर लेंगे. We are very dependent on how many turn up in the audience. But when Sripad Ayendra Prabhu was asked that how is it that he is doing kirtans when even no one is there? Sripad Ayendra Prabhu said, audience, which audience are you talking about? They said, audience. Ayendra Prabhu said, for me, the audience is Radha Shama Sundar. He is my audience and he's always there. So if my audience is always there, why should I be reluctant to chant for them? This is a very, very high mood. Very high mood. Always seeing Radha Sham Sundar and Krishna Balaram and Gaura Vrindavan as his audience. So now they are fixed. Deities are always fixed. So if deities are fixed and audience are fixed, then Nam Sankirtan can be done always. And that was Ayendra Prabhu's mood. But this is a very high mood. But oftentimes we are dependent on how many live streams are there and कौन आके ताली बजाएंगे and so on and so forth. And here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he is doing Nam Sankirtan, morning, afternoon, evening, there is no recording. Have you heard Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's recording, Mahaprabhu's voice? Is there any video of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Is there even a photo of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? No. There is one photo that people say it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's that was drawn by the ministers of Maharaj Pratap Rudra, they say. But again, there's nothing to substantiate it. It's just an opinion, but there's no letter or anywhere of Prabhupada where he says, yes, this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked. So again, it's a presumption that maybe this is how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked. But again, there is nothing. No photo, no videos, no recordings, no reels, no shots, nothing. And still Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would do kirtan everywhere. When Mahaprabhu went to Prayag, गंगा जमुना प्रयाग नारीला डुबाईते प्रभु डुबाईला कृष्ण प्रेमेरा बन्याईते. When Mahaprabhu went to Prayag last year, I was fortunate that I could go to Prayag. Very beautiful place. I had always heard about Prayag, uh, but I had never been there. But somehow, by Mahaprabhu's mercy, for Katha, I was able to go to Prayag, Varanasi, and all those places. And it is so holy for the fact that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu picked these places. Varanasi, Dashashwamedha Ghat, and Manikarnika Ghat. Mahaprabhu spoke to Rupa and Sanatan Goswami respectively. And I remember when I saw Manikarnika Ghat, I'd always heard about Manikarnika Ghat, but I didn't know how it looked like. But when I went, I was like really surprised because Manikarnika Ghat is a cremation ground. It's like Smashan Ghat. And those who have been there और who are from UP side वाराणसी जो गए रहेंगे आपको तो पता ही होगा मेरे से बेहतर आपको पता होगा. It's a cremation ground. Like bodies are burnt constantly. And that is also the place where we have Kashi Vishwanath, शिव जी का मंदिर है बाजू में. And Mahaprabhu picks that place to speak to Sripad Sanatan Goswami for 2 months, 60 days, in a cremation ground in Padikarnika Ghat. And on the other side, he picks the Shashwamedha Ghat to speak to Rupa Goswami. So Varanasi is a very holy place. If someone is from that side, they're very, very glorious. Of course, Varanasi is also known for Mayavad. You will find a lot of Mayavadis also. But at the same time, Mahaprabhu spent a lot of time sharing his heart with Rupa Sanatan. Of course, UP is very glorious because for me personally, my spiritual master comes from Bihar. So it's very glorious. Krishna appeared in Vrindavan, which is again UP. Of course, Vrindavan is not part of UP as such, but from a colloquial standpoint, that is where it's located. So oftentimes, I remember, especially in Mumbai, there was a phase when the Biharis were targeted a lot. When I was small, there was like a riot and there's a cult that would go around targeting the Biharis. One sect would target another sect, and Biharis were like the prime victim. But now that I think back, actually, it's a very glorious place because Prabhupada's dear disciple Srila Radha Govinda Maharaj was from Bihar, and UP as such is also glorious because Krishna picked that place to appear, Vrindavan Dham. Mahaprabhu picked Varanasi. So our Supreme Lord has picked these places, and if the Lord has picked these places, the people appearing or being born in those places are also very glorious. तो यदि यहाँ कोई बिहार से है या वाराणसी से है या वृंदावन धाम से है तो आप धन्य है. यू आर वेरी ग्लोरियस. Yes, Prabhu Sri Ram also. Prabhu Sri Ram, yes, Chitrakoot and so many other places. So you see so many examples. Now our mind starts working, right? So actually India is very glorious. You go to the north, you go to the south, you go up or wherever, east, west, north, south, something or some spiritual connection is always there. You go down south, there are so many alvars. Our Kulashekara Alvar that Prabhupada would quote so much. Mukunda Bala Stotra. He's coming from down south. Andal, we have famously heard, again down south. And so many others. Ramanujacharya, how can we forget him? Again down south. And so many others. So in each and nook and corner, we find there are sadhus filled. Of course, Maharashtra. We spoke about Maharashtra, one full class. Tukaram Maharaj, Santa Dyaneshwar, Chokhaveda, Janabai, and so many others. So this is what Mahaprabhu would say. Bharat Bhumi te janma मनुष्य जन्म जार जन्म सार्थक करी परो उपकार. Those born in the land of India are very glorious. Very, very glorious. Why? Not because Sachin Tendulkar is from India. No. Those born in India are glorious because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared here. Because Krishna appeared here. Because Prabhu Shri Ram appeared here. And ideally, if someone is born in this place, their first and foremost activity is to cultivate their spiritual maturity and then preach out the message. We find that oftentimes people of the Western world are taking the path more seriously than Indians. And it is very sad. It's very sad. The wealth that we have that is coming from our ancestors, something that they practiced, is being lost. And now in the Western world, it's being practiced, but sadly, not much in India. In India, we are taking all the other things from them. I remember, and I think still there, when I was in my 10th grade and 12th grade, like almost 10 years back, there was this uh, fashion theme of wearing torn clothes, torn pants. Your jeans will be torn near the knee, or it will be torn somewhere near, and that was a fashion. फटा हुआ कपड़ा पहनना ये फैशन था. एक जमाना ऐसा था जब भिखारीगण फटा हुआ कपड़ा पहनते थे, और बाद में एक ऐसा जनरेशन आया जहाँ अमीर भी फटा हुआ कपड़ा पहनते थे. So it became little embarrassing if your clothes were not so. No, seems like you're not understanding the fashion sense. And all this is coming from the Western world. And they are not just doing this, but they are also having the intelligence to accept the spirituality of the East. So, how important it is if we are taking one thing from them, why not we also learn how serious they are in spirituality? This is primarily the reason Srila Saraswati Thakur asked Srila Prabhupada to preach in the West. And this is primarily why Prabhupada came to America. Because whatever the US does, the whole world follows. Correct? All the fashion, all the technology, whatever the United States do, the world wants to copy. They are there up. This is why Prabhupada thought if anyway people are following, why not I go there and start bhakti there? If it fructifies, then it will spread everywhere. Prabhupada planned it, Krishna sanctioned it, and here we are. Started in America, 26 Second Avenue, and it started spreading. So human life is given for this bhakti, not given for anything else. Labdhva sudurlabhamidam bahusambhavante manusyam arthadam anityam apihadira. Human life is anityam. It is very temporary. And in this temporary life, we have to make use of it in such a way that the fruit is not temporary, but it is permanent. A temporary human birth has to be utilized to develop a permanent relationship with Krishna. Best use of bad bargain. Otherwise, what will happen? This life is gone, we will die. Next life, again, we will be born somewhere. If we get a human birth, and again, punarapi janana, punarapi marana, same thing. Again, going to school, again, A, B, C, D. I remember, when children are small, they'll say A, B, C, D, E, F, G. L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. No? That's how the children say, right? Again, you have to go through all of that. And then again, you grow up 10th standard, 11th, 12th, and then you pick a stream, get married, this, that, have a job, whatever, and then gone. Oh, between that, there will be some cricket World Cup, some soccer World Cup. All these distractions will also come. So, kahan bhajan karenge? Human people just go by this way. So, let us not waste dear devotees. Time is now. These things will just come and go. If we can resist temptations once, Krishna will give us the strength. If we want to, Krishna will give us the strength. He says, we spoke it in yesterday's class also. Balam balam atam chaham. He will give the strength, provided we want the strength from him. Hmm. So in this way, we find Mahaprabhu, morning, afternoon, evening is doing Nam Sankirtan. And we are speaking how Prabhupada disciples were doing the same thing. Sripad Ayendra Prabhu, 16 hours. Prabhupada wrote a letter when they were in the Washington, D.C. temple, Potomac. Prabhupada wrote a letter to them that I'm very pleased on hearing your 14 hours Nam Sankirtan every single day. Please keep continuing what you're doing, and Krishna will be very happy. And Sripad Ayadhya would remember that letter of Prabhupada, how he was encouraging them to go out on the streets. When Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj in the San Francisco temple, which is the new Jagannath Puri Dham, Jayananda Prabhu was the temple president. And Jayananda Prabhu was jack of all trades. Like he was the plumber of the temple, he was the electrician, he would drive the car, he was the temple president, he would put out the trash, he would do the pujari service. Mano sab kuch karte the. He was like someone who could do everything. There was nothing that Jayananda Prabhu could not. Exceptionally brilliant person. On top of that, he was a mechanical engineer. So also पढ़ाई लिखाई भी किए थे. And that too from Ohio State University, which is a pretty good university. And we are talking about 1970s. And he was working outside and he would get the money in the temple. That's how the temple was functioning. So when Prabhupada saw this, Prabhupada told the Balakrishna Maharaj that you should also work. We cannot put all the burden on the shoulders of Jayananda Prabhu. I think you should also work. So the Balakrishna Maharaj said, okay. The Balakrishna Maharaj and one more Prabhupada disciple. I'm not able to remember the name, but the Balakrishna Maharaj was there. And they got a job in Kodak company. You see the photograph company Kodak? No, it's there in India also, Kodak. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj got a job in Kodak company. And he and his godbrother, they were there in that company. And 1 month into that company, they were getting bored. बहुत boring लग रहा था. नौकरी कर रहा है, ये बहुत उन्हें boring लग रहा था. So in the afternoon time, they would come out on the streets and they would do Nam Sankirtan. With a kartal in their hand, they would do Nam Sankirtan. During their lunch time, they would come out and Nam Sankirtan करते थे. तो 1 महीना ऐसा हुआ, 2 महीने ऐसे गए, 3 महीने ऐसे गए, 3 months went past. And then they wrote a letter to Prabhupada. He said, Prabhupada, I think we are finding it very difficult. We are not able to work outside in the corporate world. You ask us to do anything, we will do, but हमें यहाँ से मुक्त कर दो. We cannot work a corporate. ये पैसा कमाना हमारी बस की बात नहीं है. When Prabhupada heard that, Prabhupada said, in one condition, you can leave that job, but in that time, oh, so Prabhupada asked them, I put it this way, Prabhupada asked them, if you will not work, what will you do? In the time that you have, what will you do? They said, Prabhupada, we will go out on the streets. We will do Nam Sankirtan. The time that we are spending in job, that 8 to 10 hours, we will be on the streets chanting Harinam Sankirtan. So Prabhupada said, okay. And after 3 months, they left the job. मानो probation period में job छोड़ दिए. They couldn't go past. And they left. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was out on the streets. But Tamal Krishna Maharaj was very sincere. It's not that he didn't want to work and after coming out, he didn't do Nam Sankirtan also. Not like that. He left job, but outside, he was doing Nam Sankirtan for 8 to 10 hours a day. So at that time, Jayananda Prabhu was working. And at one point, Jayananda Prabhu was an Uber driver. India में है ना Uber, Ola इत्यादि. So Jayananda Prabhu was an Uber driver. Taxi चलाते थे. Not Uber as such. Uber तो अभी आया है, but taxi, basically taxi driver. So and the money that he would get with that taxi, he would give it for Prabhupada's preaching, printing of the books, etc. So when Jayananda Prabhu saw that Tamal Krishna Maharaj is out on the streets, he told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, even I want to go out to the streets chanting. I don't want to drive this taxi. Even I want to do devotional service. Prabhupada said, what will you do? But in the streets, there are already so many people chanting. What will you do? And this was primarily Jayananda Prabhu had asked during the Jagannath Rath Yatra time. Jayananda Prabhu said, Prabhupada, I will drive the cart for them. Let them keep chanting, I will drive the cart. यहाँ जो ड्राइविंग कर रहा हूँ वो ठाकुर जी के लिए करता हूँ. Let I will drive the devotees to the Nam Sankirtan area. I will drive Jagannath during the Jagannath Rath Yatra. I will use this service, but directly, Prabhupada, I don't want to do this taxi business. And Prabhupada agreed. And that's how Jayananda Prabhu also left his job. And interestingly, someone can have this question. नौकरी छोड़ने का पैसा कहाँ से आए? How did Prabhupada, how was he able to manage? But somehow Prabhupada's purity was such, it was always the inflow of money. San Francisco temple always had the inflow of money, even though everyone, practically no one was working. I mean, is it even feasible? No. Imagine in a house, if there is no one working, पैसे कहाँ से आएंगे? But for Prabhupada, because they were all engaged in spreading Mahaprabhu's mission. Krishna or Vishnu, who is Lakshmi Kant, he was sending Lakshmi for the preaching mission. And somehow they always had it. They always had it through distributing books and through so many other activities. Money was never a problem for Prabhupada. One time, one person, when he was in his youth, had come in contact with the Scott devotees in Boston in the 1970s. And eventually he uh, got acquainted with the philosophy. He was an Indian guy, but he was not uh, ready to practice the path. And eventually he left, he swayed away. And बाद में जल बनकर एकदम बड़े बिजनेसमैन बन गए, बहुत धनी व्यक्ति बन गए. He was very rich. So he got to that Prabhupada is there in the area. So after many years, he again came back just to see Prabhupada. But he knew that यदि हम जाएंगे तो स्वामी जी पैसा मांगेंगे. Swami ji will ask for money. He will ask for donation. Swami ji will say, I want book printing. I want temple. He will ask for donation. But still, he wanted to meet Prabhupada. So he went and he met Prabhupada. And as he was conversing, they had a discussion. He got up and he was leaving. And as he was about in the door, he opened the door to go out. Prabhupada said, we are not behind your money. We are not behind anyone's money. All that we want is people should become Krishna conscious. And that person was amazed because what he thought in his heart, Prabhupada spoke that out. And Prabhupada did not ask for money but clarified the misconception that he had. Prabhupada said, we are not behind your money. हमें आपका पैसे नहीं चाहिए. We don't want your money. But we are behind people becoming Krishna conscious. And the only reason we ask money is if that money, if that they're earning, if that can be purified, they will become the recipient of Krishna's mercy. Otherwise, नरक की प्राप्ति हो जाएगी. With that money, if people are just using it for sense gratification and not even doing bhakti, तो फिर शायद मानो नरक की प्राप्ति हो जाएगी. So Prabhupada was saying, through money, at least we are wanting to start their journey of Krishna consciousness. But otherwise, we are not behind your money. If you are Krishna conscious, we are very happy. That person was amazed. How could Prabhupada read by heart? And not just once. Prabhupada did that so many times. So many times. The other time, one disciple was aspiring from Srila Prabhupada. And it was the time of initiation. So he had a name in his head. And that name was Madan Mohan. He wanted Prabhupada to give him the name Madan Mohan Das. So he, of course, he didn't tell Prabhupada. Prabhupada को कैसे बोलेंगे? Prabhupada हमें मदन मोहन दास नाम दीजिए. बोल तो नहीं सकते. But his mind, he was thinking, Madan Mohan is a very nice name. So how I wish Prabhupada gives the name Madan Mohan. So he went inside the room for initiation. And many other Prabhupada disciples were already sitting who were initiated earlier. So this devotee came and Prabhupada asked him the four regulative principles. He said the regulative principles. And after he mentioned all these four niyam, four regulative principles, Prabhupada looked around in the room and said, is there anyone by the name Madan Mohan? And this aspiring disciple was surprised. I mean, how did Prabhupada even know this? So Prabhupada he looked around and said, is there anyone by the name Madan Mohan? Do I already have a disciple by the name Madan Mohan? So I think Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there in the room. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, yes, Prabhupada, you already have a disciple in so and so country by the name Madan Mohan. Prabhupada said, oh, yes. And then Prabhupada gave the name, your name is Varadaraj Das. He changed. So Varadaraj Prabhu in his Prabhupada memories, he says, I wanted Madan Mohan as the name, and Prabhupada somehow knew it. And he asked in the room, is there anyone by the name Madan Mohan? Prabhupada demonstrated it so many times that he could read the heart of the disciples. Not just disciples, he could read anyone's heart. If anyone came in front of Prabhupada, it was like an X-ray scanning machine. प्रभुपाद मानो एक्सरे की तरफ आर पार देख लेते थे. कितना काम क्रोध लोभ मोह मद मात्सर्य है, कितना माला करता है, कितना कामी व्यक्ति है, कितना भजन करता है, इत्यादि, कितना ढोंगी है, इत्यादि. He could see everything. So it was a little scary to come in front of Prabhupada. But you see, just like without doing an X-ray, the doctor cannot treat. Similarly, without coming in front of Prabhupada, there can be no spiritual treatment. He is like the X-ray who will first see, examine you, and then give medication. He is the Vaidyaraj. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Vaidyaraj we were discussing the other day. Similarly, Prabhupada is also like the Vaidyaraj. Through Prabhupada's books, he treats the living entities. His feelings of separation subsided, thinking that Lord Krishna had returned to Vrindavan. He was always thinking of the Leelas of Radha and Krishna and remained merged in this consciousness. Lord Chaitanya and his devotees performed the pastimes of Vrindavan in the gardens near the Kundicha temple. In the Indradumna Sarovar, we have His Holiness Indradumna Maharaj, now ISKCON. Hmm. Indradumna Maharaj, not ISKCON wale, but Shastra. In Shastra, there is Indradumna Maharaj. He, in his next life, becomes Gajendra, the elephant. So the Gajendra, the elephant of the 8th canto, in his previous life was Maharaj Indradumna. So here we find in the Indradumna Sarovar, that is the lake, Lord Chaitanya sported in the water. He and his devotees splashed water upon each other and imitated the croaking of frogs. You see how the frogs croak? In Shastra explains, Prabhupada actually would give this example. When the frog croaks, it invites the snakes. It's almost like "Aa bail mujhe maar." When the frog croaks, it gives an invitation for the snake, and the snake comes, and it's Mahaprasad Govinda for the snake. So Prabhupada would use this example, and Prabhupada would say that glorifying ourselves in the form of material accomplishments. मैंने ये किया, मैंने वो किया, मैंने ये हासिल किया, मैंने वो हासिल किया. I am this, I am that. It's like the frog croaking. Very soon, this snake of death is going to come and choke us. And once it chokes us, what we achieved makes no sense materially. But what we achieved spiritually makes a lot of sense. So what the point where we're trying to hammer again and again is it's good to have something materially accomplished, like material accomplishment. But at the same time, it shouldn't be at the cost of sacrificing our spiritual bhakti. It shouldn't be at the cost of sacrificing our Krishna consciousness. ऐसे नहीं कि हम धन प्राप्ति धन अर्जन करने में इतने व्यस्त हो जाए कि भक्ति करने का हमें समय प्राप्त ना हो. भौतिक धन आवश्यक है, लेकिन उससे भी ज्यादा आवश्यक ये है कि हम आध्यात्मिक धन इकट्ठा करें. As we mentioned yesterday, that is the wealth that we can take in the future life. We gave the example of the king and the foolish minister. That was the lesson there also. Spiritual wealth needs to be cultivated. And that's the only wealth we can take. Swalpam appesya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. The second chapter of the Gita, Krishna explains even little bhakti that we do. Swalpa. थोड़े भक्ति यदि भी किए मनुष्य जीवन में, still that is carry forwarded. You do 10% this lifetime, next lifetime you start at 11%. But in material life, even if you have achieved billions of dollars, if you're the richest man in this world, still next life, punar mushiko bhava. Again, you start from zero. And who knows whether or not you will even get a human life. यदि भक्ति नहीं किए तो ये कह पाना प्राय असंभव है कि अगले जन्म में मनुष्य जीवन हमें प्राप्त होगा. Why? For example, if you are there in a company, you have a job. If you're a software developer, for example, if you're a software developer, your job is to do programming, is to do coding, is to write programming languages. But if you're not doing that and just chit-chatting around, अगर ऑफिस में नौकरी मिलने के तत्पश्चात यदि हम काम नहीं कर रहे, केवल कैफेटेरिया में खा रहे, कैफेटेरिया में जाके डोसा खा रहे, इडली खा रहे इत्यादि, will the company keep us? No. Company will throw us out, right? Because the reason for which you're hired, if you're not doing that job, the company will throw you out and they will have someone else employed. Similarly, human life is given for some siddhi haritoshanam. The employment that we have got here in this human life is to please Krishna and to worship Krishna. But yadi इस जगत के कैफेटेरिया में डोसा और इडली खाते बैठ गए, फाफड़ा जलेबी खाते बैठ गए, ढोकला खाते बैठ गए, ये सब यदि खाते बैठ गए, ये तो खाना है, प्रसाद के तौर पर खाना है. बट द पॉइंट दैट वी आर ट्राइंग टू से इज, in the allurements, if you're caught up in this allurements and we forget the ultimate aim of worshipping Krishna, then someone else will be hired in this role, which means someone else will get a human birth and we will get a demotion. And after being demoted, we don't know whether we will again get a human life or whether we will slip into animal species. But if someone has done even little bhakti, यदि भक्तों के संग एक बार भी आए या ठाकुर जी को एक बार भी देखे या कथा एक बार भी श्रवण करे, it's almost certain that next life we will again become a human being because Krishna will want us to again cultivate the Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada's aim and agenda was, why next life? Why not this life itself? Why not we pack our bags in this life and go back to Krishna? अगले जन्म की बात ही नहीं करें. In this life itself, let us pack our bags. इसी जन्म में भागवत प्राप्ति जैसे बोलते हैं ना, इसी जन्म में भागवत प्राप्ति. So that is our aim. That is our agenda. And the reason I'm saying all this is if someone is a youth, which many of us are, there is at least considerable lifespan still left. Hopefully, being optimistic and being positive, there is considerable lifetime still left, which means there is more chances of spiritual advancement than someone who's already 70 or 80, 75 years old. वो बेचारे कितने कर पाएंगे. लेकिन यदि कोई 20 साल का नौजवान है, 20-25 years old, then he can do bhakti with full steam because there is bodily strength is there, physical nice strength is there, and even mentally he will be more strong. Only if he starts practicing, very soon he can get Krishna. So lots of is sporting in the Indradumna river and splashing water and imitating the sound of the frogs. In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, we see Mahaprabhu would play in the Narendra Sarovar in Jagannath Puri. If someone has been to Jagannath Puri, last year I remember His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj took devotees for Puri Yatra, and one of the places there that they stopped is Narendra Sarovar. That is also the place where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his associates, they would play water sports. पानी में कूदते थे, पानी में they would have their water sports. Uh, so in the Olympics and all, we find there are water sports. Now Olympics is going to come, I think, this year. So in the Olympics, we'll find a lot of water sports. Mahaprabhu did that 500 years back with his associates. And at Narendra Sarovar, they would splash water and they would play different games. And likewise here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Indradumna Sarovar has been named. Sometimes the two would pair off and fight in the water. झगड़ा करते थे, मारामारी करते थे. Like, boys, maybe not the girls, but the boys have this thing of like physical fighting, punching each other, and the girls may have a different form of fighting, but the boys are straight to the point. If there is any problem, straight fighting. That's how boys are wired. I remember when we were small, my brother and I, we would also have a lot of fights, fist fight and this and that, because that's how boys are wired. Girls may be a little different, but boys naturally, झगड़ा करने के like it's uddipan for the boys to fight. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is the ultimate Purusha, he's the Param Purusha. So he would also be in the water, he would fight and they would slap each other and punch each other. That's excitement for them. One would emerge victorious and the other defeated. And Lord Chaitanya would watch all the fun. Some pairs were अभी pairing भी दिया है. यदि if it's a wrestling match, WWE match, you have pairing. कौन किसके साथ लड़ेंगे. So Kaviraj Goswami gives the pairing also. कौन किसके साथ झगड़ा करेंगे. Now please hear this. Water sports. First round Advaita Acharya versus Nityananda Prabhu. Look at the competition. Nityananda Prabhu is young. Advaita Acharya Bichare is old. Nityananda Prabhu is in his early 30s. Advaita Acharya is in his 80s. What is the competition? Bichare Advaita Acharya already white beard. Nitya is like very strong. Yeah. So it's like Someone who's exceptionally strong versus someone जो बेचारे बूढ़े हो गए. फर्स्ट राउंड अद्वैत आचार्य वर्सेस निताय. सेकंड स्वरूप दामोदर गोस्वामी वर्सेस पुंडरीक विद्यानिधि. थर्ड मुरारी गुप्ता वर्सेस वासुदेव दत्त. बेचारे दोनों एकदम दयालु है. मुरारी गुप्ता, Murari Gupta is strong because he's Hanuman, but Vasudev Datta is someone who had a pus and wound all over his body. Remember, we had spoken this earlier. So he would be very lean. And Murari Gupta is Hanuman ji. So Hanuman versus someone who is competition में देखो कैसे लगाए हैं. So on purpose, one person is strong and the other person is weak. Srivas Thakur versus Gadadhar Pandit. Who is Srivas Narad Muni? Gadadhar Pandit Radharani. So Raghav Pandit versus Vakreshwar Pandit. एंड सार्वभौम भट्टाचार्य वर्सेस राय रामानंदा. एंड इन सब के बीच में हमारे महाप्रभु बने रेफरी. महाप्रभु इज द रेफरी. 1 point, 2 points. No, no, no. This is fault. Again, fight again. Mahaprabhu would be the referee, and these devotees would fight against each other, and Mahaprabhu would get a lot of pleasure. So all these water sports they would have at Indradumna Sarovar. What happens later? Who wins the battle? And what are the other fun mysteries that unfold? We will see that in tomorrow's discussion. Gaura Prevanande, Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.